Mark from Vortec Pro. This is video number 22 of our 620 horse 467 build. Today we're going to show you how we ported the bad port on our 781 head. This is our factory center bad port machined for a 2190 valve with no port work. Hopefully you can see all the different angles. Okay, here's our end bad port ported Okay, what we're going to do as we finish this head is we'll make a mold of the port, and we can get very accurate on the port dimensions. But in the meantime, we'll give you a rough idea of what we did in this port, and we'll show you the different angles of it. Okay, when we started porting this head, we would come in here on this side of the valve guide, the right hand side, and we move this wall over right here. And we try to blend it in and move it down this direction. Now we'll show you from the intake face in a minute here how it's blended in. We're not taking any material off this side because it doesn't pick up flow. In fact, it's counterproductive to our flow. Now this dimension here, we've roughly moved it over 60 thousandths of an inch. It right down in here. You don't want to go too far because the head will get thin. This head is ported. You can use this head. It's not been over ported. It's not thin in any place. It's a solid head. Okay, so on our short turn width from here to here, we've moved it over roughly 150 thousandths. We've got the dimensions up here on the board, which we'll get to. Let's go over and look at this short turn width here. This would be the short turn width from here to here. I'll come back over here. As you can see how much it's been opened up. This shape right here, this is a very high flow area on this head. This shape is extremely critical. Please look at it very closely if you're ever going to port this type of head. This is the tricky part of this head, is getting this laid back correctly and getting this moved over without hitting water. Our bowl diameter from here to here has been opened up roughly 100 thousandths over the factory port after it's been machined for a 2190 valve. That dimension. As you look down the intake runner, you'll notice that this wall has been moved over all the way down here to the bowl. If you look at the diameter from here between the guide and the bowl, you can see how this has been moved over, and we'll compare it to the unported center bad runner. You see how much tighter it is in this area right here? I'd go back to the other port after you get that one good. And you can see the floor has been blended into the short turn. Now again, let me show you a high flow area. Right here is a very high flow area on this bad port right here. This corner, as it transitions into the short turn. And if you'll notice, this hasn't been ported through here because it's already too big. The wall of the port's already moved out too far. So there's no need to port that. This is the side that you're working on this bad port, your left-hand side. Okay, here's the head from another angle. In video 21, if you remember, if you watch it, you'll see that I talked about this hump right here from the 60 down, right here. This is very critical. This hump shaped this way for Lola Flow. This is what jacks the Lola Flow up on these heads. Okay, we went in there and we blended this chamber a little bit, which does absolutely nothing, but just the same, it's not factory. But look at this hump real close. That's what you want it to look like. That's the key to getting a good Lola Flow. Here's one more shot. We're going to try to get the angles on this. It's really tough to see. I've never really been able to take good pictures of this, but hopefully you guys can see the shape of this. And we'll go up and go over the dimensions on the board. And then we're going to get to the flow test. Let's review. The top angle was a 30, the valve seat was a 45 with a 60 and a 70. The intake valve was a 45 with a 30-degree back cut. Now we're going to take the head back there and flow test it, and we'll bring the numbers back up here and go over them. Okay, we're finished with the flow test. And back in video number 12, these were the flow numbers on the factory 781 head, this head that we just ported, with the factory 2.0650 valve. So you can see at 200 lift, we picked up almost 40 CFM after we installed the 2190 valve and ported the head. At 300 lift, we were up 32.8. And at 400, we were up 38.3. And 500, we were up 44.8. And at 600, we were up 52.5. Now, this head that we ported is not so thin that it's ever going to give you a guy problems. There's no point in making the head so big that it can't be used. I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well just get an aftermarket head, because you don't want to put a bunch of work into these heads and have them break on you. But I mean, this is a good solid head. This is typical of flow you'll get out of these heads if you get them close to being right. This will support a good amount of power. We're off to the good port next.